Welcome to Sit Down with the Superintendent, presented by GCHS TV. Join us as we welcome Greenup County Superintendent Tracy Moracey to our roundtable discussion hosted by GCHS students. And good afternoon, and welcome into another edition of Sit Down with the Superintendent. I'm your host, James Carr, joined with Superintendent Tracy Moracey. And Tracy, you and I, we talked Monday night after the announcement came from Governor Beshear. No more in-class sessions for school the remainder of this school year. And I made the comment, I said, do we want to move the show up until Tuesday? You said, no, I've got way too many things I have to figure out what to do with first. So we stayed with today, but we got a lot of stuff to cover on the show today.
Okay, yes, I agree. I did not want to jump the gun. What we have to offer today is really just kind of a skeleton of what we want to offer. Honestly, you cannot just go out there and just start throwing out plans to the public until you've really conferred with your principals, all the people who are behind the scenes that organize and do all the work. So basically, what we're gonna do is right now we're making plans and doing a lot of Google Meets with principals. We plan to do a fact and answer document out today, later on today. Ms. Scarlett Shoemaker's putting that together after we went through I think our second Google Meet. Mr. Smith's in the room here. He's going to come on here in just a minute, but I think it was after our second Google Meet this morning that we kind of got things ironed down as to what we want to do. So, and we still have details. We at least have a plan. Yeah,
that's the biggest thing is, again, I think Mr. Smith, I think he may patent this quote as, we're flying this plane as we are building this plane as we fly it.
Yes.
And it's really been that as we have gone along. But kudos to all of the educators within Greenup County School District, as well as the administrators and the personnel in the district office. We've really made this plane flight not quite as bumpy as one might have thought it was going to be.
Hey, I think we're running a jet airliner system right now because I cannot compliment our staff enough. And the kids, I met with student council yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But just I've jumped in, and I think Mr. Smith has done the same, jumped in on some Google Meets and talked to the kids because it's important to make sure we're getting, really, when you look at things, they're our customers if this was a business. And so we really want to get their input on stuff. And they have handled this with such grace. I know Monday was a devastating day. It was a day that they all had probably suspected. I know we all did, but we were in a bit of denial about it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, so, without a doubt. And there's a lot of stuff that came out on Monday that we'll talk about as we go through the show. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the first question that many wanted to know as soon as we found out we're not coming back to school the rest of the year, when is our last day of school? And that has been decided by the board.
Yes, spoke with the Board of Education Monday night, and they have agreed that next Monday at the board meeting they will approve our last day. It will be based on the legal requirements of what type of instruction we have to provide and how many hours of instruction we have to give. So we realize that the work of the teachers, the students, the families that they've put into NTI has been probably more than what they would have had if they were going into the classroom every day face-to-face. So we plan to make our last day of NTI May 14th. Okay, we do not want you to just stop working. You still need to get things turned in, get everything to us. We will have another round of pickup and everything on May. Are we looking at maybe May 1st, Jason? Is that what we talked about?
I think that's what it was last I saw as well.
So on May 1st, we're talking about doing another round. I do believe that's a Friday and not a Monday, so we'll work out the kinks on that. Of course, I can't commend the people who have been organizing the pickups because they are standing out in front of the schools with masks on, drive by, drop off, collect, and they're putting themselves on the front line to do that. Same as our cafeteria. So we really appreciate them.
We can't say enough about especially our cafeteria workers and our food service people who have they continue to come in and provide meals for those that need that benefit, and that's one of the big things from public school systems that they basically depend on, and that has been a service that has continued throughout this entire process.
Yes, and just a mental note on that. I want to remind everyone that it does not require you to have a certain economic disadvantage to participate in that, we do get refunded for everything that you take. And I know that some of you are waiting on unemployment to be processed, and it could be a time where this could be a game changer for you. So do not feel a bit bad about coming. We do ask that you have your student in the car with you when you come. There is a reason for that. We've had some problems in other local schools with people who maybe aren't necessarily part of a school system, and sometimes the food doesn't always go to kids. So that's why we have to have the kids in the car, which is sad that that's where we go. Now, if you happen to have a giant crew, I've heard of people who have like maybe 8 kids or something, and God bless you, I can't imagine what NTI has been for you right now. Contact your local Frisky Resource Center, and they will do actual food baskets to you and come out and deliver things that way. Because I do realize unless you have your own private bus, it would be difficult to put all your kids in the car at one time.
Yeah, or maybe multiple vehicles tied together like a train or something.
Yes, we do not want the DOT calling us about any of that. So, but anyway, our last day officially will be May 14th. And if you've happened to miss your last packet pickup, just make sure you get in touch with the school that your child goes to, and they will be available from 9 to 1 on the phone. And if they have to make different arrangements, they've been very accommodating. We've had lots of people have to pick up at odd hours, and they've worked it out. So I appreciate them.
Well, real quickly, some questions coming in on live chat.
Okay.
One of the students, I believe it's a student, wanting to know, will they be able to get back into the school to get stuff out of their lockers? When will this occur? Yes,
we talked about that today, and we are going to schedule and arrange that kind of like we do packet pickup. That will be arranged so that kids can come in. It will be kind of like a Lowe's situation, I guess is the best way to describe it, only we're going to do better as far as controlling the environment. We're going to have students come in scheduled with 5 at a time, 4 at a time, and those kids will get to go to their lockers, to their classrooms, pick up what they need, and come back out. And they will be provided a mask, and it'll be very secure, and you'll still be able to social distance. Our goal is to let you get what you know you have. The thing of us kind of scooping it up and taking it out to you, we're worried we would forget something or lose something for you. So we want you to have that opportunity to get your stuff.
So please don't come to the schools yet. We
Do
will
not.
put that directive out when that is going to be occurring, and the time and frame of when it will happen. And of course, it's going to happen over a collection of days.
Yes.
So please wait for that directive. And we will be able to get you back in to get things out of your life.
Absolutely. We want to get your things to you. But just remember, today is April 22nd. So we have until, May 22nd, I think, is when we had originally planned on being dismissed. So our staff will be on site through all that time trying to get you what you need. So just be patient with us, and you will be contacted with a good date and time for you to do that.
And again, if you have a question for the show, you can hit us with the email address there you see on the bottom of your screen. You can also use the live chat feature, and we'll try to get a question to you just as quickly as we can. Last week, you announced the student council meeting. Anything you can share with us on that?
Sure. Those guys are great. Met with them. We went for about an hour yesterday on a Google Meet, and we participated. There were 24 of them, and they had great ideas on community projects that they want to take on. A lot of them are wanting to help out, if they're underclassmen, with some projects that we're going to do for the seniors coming up. So I was really thrilled. That's another reason why we've kind of waited. We wanted to get a little bit more student feedback on what's going on, so they gave me some good ideas. A couple things they were thinking about is a virtual 5K, a virtual cleanup activity on the riverbanks and in the areas. They want to do a virtual senior salute. They're working on some donations for hospital patients and activities with children. And then a long-term idea is they want to work on a water bottle recycling program that'll be filled with school supplies for the students when they do return. So they have some amazing ideas. They're willing to work hard for it. And one big project coming up that our kids are going to participate in, they're going to help Miss Carrie Davis and Mr. Blevins with our FFA 4-H program. And she has an announcement for us. I think Mr. Collier put something together really brilliantly. The man has a skill like nobody knows. And he is definitely the person to be teaching this class, is what I will say. And he's going to come in handy here in the next couple of weeks, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Smith?
Amen.
Yes, he's going to be coming in handy
I
here.
have no idea what's coming, but I have an idea. There's some ideas about to flow this direction.
There are some ideas about to flow, and I'm very sorry, Mr. Collier, but we need you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So they put together a program to provide seeds to the community. We're going to try to really promote victory gardens. I know you've seen a lot of memes out there that back in the days of our grandparents, they were asked to go to war. That was their sacrifice. And one of the things that the communities did is they did victory gardens. You know, we are not being asked to do that. We're being asked to stay at home and being asked to be safe. But we can still participate in that victory garden concept. So we're going with the concept if you teach a man to fish, they can feed themselves. So we really want to promote having some victory gardens at your home, whether you do just a little square garden or if you do some container stuff. So I think Mr. Collier is going to roll out a little video for you and share with you their neat project they're doing.
Here we go.
Anyone can create their own garden. Sponsor Carrie Davis wants to resurrect the victory gardens as a way to pass the time.
Their lunches. They will also be able to pick up packets of seeds or live vegetable plants. The packets of seeds are being provided by a joint effort between the Greenup County Cooperative Extension Service and the Greenup County FFA chapter. And the free vegetable plants have been produced and are going to be provided by Mr. Blevins' greenhouse classes.
Davis says before selecting a garden, many considerations must be made.
Ground that you can put your plants in. Does that ground need to be turned and tilled before it's ready for vegetables? Will you be having a traditional garden with open rows?
Davis says options are available no matter the space available.
One thing you can do is a square foot garden. And so it doesn't have open rows for you to run a tiller down. It kind of packs the plants in side by side. There's still enough space for them to grow and produce what they're supposed to, but there's not a lot of open rows that's left for you to manage weeds in.
Don't have ground available for a garden? Davis says no problem.
You can always grow your vegetables in a container. That container can look like a flower pot or even a 5-gallon bucket.
One of the biggest unknowns in the area is the weather, and one must be careful not to plant too early.
That we'll be giving you can't be planted in the ground until after danger of the last frost has occurred, unless you're going to start them indoors. And so you can certainly start these seeds indoors and then move them outside, which would be just exactly what you're doing when you transplant the live vegetable plants that you get.
Selecting the correct container for your plants also means allowing proper drainage as well.
There's drainage at the bottom, and if your container doesn't come with drainage holes, then you can always put some rocks in the bottom of it or some broken pieces of pottery. That's what my granny used to do at the bottom of her pots, and that'll help with the drainage situation, because too much water, just like too little water, can be equally damaging.
Davis says to shop and support local businesses if in need of seeds and plants.
There are plenty of local greenhouses nearby that you can visit to purchase these things. A lot of places have seeds and plants. A couple of the hardware stores like Kenner's and Maynard's have seeds only, so don't go there expecting plants. But if you live near Brown's Grocery or Collins Country Market, Dillo's, Garden Gate Greenhouse, Greens, Hardin's, Howard's, Imels, Keys Farm Supply, or Wireman's, then any one of those places could hook you up with a wide assortment of seeds and live plants.
But don't keep your treasure a secret, as Davis invites gardeners photos of their progress.
We want to see what you're growing at home during these very trying times. We want to see pictures. We have a Greenup County Farm to Table face page. We would love for you to post your pictures to that Facebook page and also use the hashtag TogetherGC. Excited to get this project growing.
For GCHS TV, I'm James Collier.
And again, if you have anything that you want to be a part of this program, May 1st will be our first initial distribution of the seed packets as well as some plants. And you can get that here at the 4 schools that they're doing the food services. And we'll have some more information next week with Ms. Davis and Mr. Blevins that they'll pass along. I know I'm off screen right now, but I'm going to bring in Jason Smith, principal here at Greenup County High School, and Ms. Moracey back. We've got a very unique situation that we have to deal with this year. And who would have ever thought that one of the most difficult conversations we're having right now, how do we have graduation? And I think Mr. Smith has put together some pretty unique ideas, and I think you guys are going to kind of try to talk this out a little bit and let people know that we are working on a formulated plan, but this is going to take some time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first of all, I know that there's been several plans that have been floated out on social media I am on a listserv for all the principals in the state of Kentucky. We get emails and we can communicate with each other. And we got several emails yesterday about different schools planning different things. And I'll be honest, the plan that we are choosing to hopefully implement is something that, is maybe a combination of several ideas that we've gotten from other places. But we're going to look at doing a virtual graduation ceremony, and we still have to work out a lot of logistics. We of course want to practice safety and good social distancing and make sure that all of our students and parents are healthy and safe. So working out those logistics is going to take some time. Be patient with us. We will get those things worked out. But if we can just, as Ms. Moracy said, share a skeleton of what it might look like, we're going to schedule probably, I'm going to say about 3 days. We're looking at the first couple weeks of May, and we're going to have about 5 families come in a 20 to 30 minute window and remain in their cars. And we'll have somebody outside that will escort one family at a time in the building and make sure that they get to the gymnasium where the graduation stage is. Once that family is in there, we're going to have that student in their cap and gown and all their awards and stoles and cords and all those type of things. They will get to walk across the stage, and we are having some preliminary conversations and discussions about having the parents present the diploma to their child. That way, again, we can remain safe and avoid some of those handshakes and things that we traditionally do. Along with that, that student will finish up. We will escort them out of the gym doors. And what we plan on doing is having our good friend James Collier and our GCHS TV folks help video this whole thing. And we also plan to have our valedictorian and salutatorians give their speeches. The Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to talk to Mr. Milby, our music teacher, about having some music. We're going to do a graduation ceremony, but we've got to practice social distancing. So we're going to go through the whole thing. We have a normal program, spread everybody out, and video it. And what we hope to do with the cooperation of our good tech folks at GCHS TV is give you all a week or 10 days to do the editing, to piece it all together. And then on Friday, May the 22nd at 7 p.m., which was our original graduation date and time, release that video to the public, and then allow our graduates and their families to watch it at home and celebrate with their families. We realize that graduation is something that these kids and these parents have looked forward to since the first day of kindergarten. And it's an important part of public school education. It's an important part of our community. These families and these students have worked very, very hard to get to that moment, and we want to make sure that they're honored and celebrated, and we will try our best to make it as classy as possible. It'll be set up exactly how graduation always is. We're going to have the stage and the podium and the ferns and the flowers and all those type of things, and it's just going to be spread out and videoed. And we'll release it, like I said, on May 22nd.
So what you're telling me is about the next 2 weeks.
You're busy.
I just need to just pencil those off.
If you
Those are
happen to
off
have
nights.
Mr.
Don't
Collier-
bother me.
Yeah.
Just I'm going to be doing a lot of editing. But
Yes, sir.
If you
listen,
happen to have Mr. Collier as a teacher, your workload may have gotten a little bit easier.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing that out there.
You're probably getting ready to get your final project for me, and I'm done with you for the year. Okay. The thing that I think that I like the conversation piece that you brought into here, having the parents present that diploma. I know last year when my son graduated, I had that unique honor of presenting him his diploma. I didn't get to do that with my older son, but I did with my younger son. And it's one of those things that it's a special memory that you'll never get to relive, only one opportunity to do so.
Yep.
And for this opportunity, this is a special year and a special occasion. Why not?
Absolutely. And, like I said, we want to make sure these kids know that they are appreciated. They're sacrificing. I think Mrs. Moracy said it just a little while ago, and it's a conversation that we had as administrators yesterday. Occasionally there is that generation that has to be asked to sacrifice. for whatever reason. And the class of 2020 is going through that right now, and we appreciate them. Ms. Moracey mentioned grace. These kids have been wonderful. They've been patient with us, and I know they're disappointed that they can't come back and do things as we traditionally do, but we're going to do our best to make sure that they feel special.
Hear this, you would think back in our time, we thought Y2K was going to be the big event of our history,
Yes.
and here we are now 20 years later facing a pandemic that we would have never dreamed of just a few months ago. But it is a unique time, unique event, and a lot of ideas going together. Again, if you have ideas of things that we could use with this is not set in stone. You've got the email address there. Feel free to reach out, and if it's something that is usable that we can put with it, we'll certainly take a look at that when we put the entire plan together to formulate our final options for the graduation ceremony. And if it works, we'll put it in there with it.
And
Absolutely,
I'm looking
yeah.
at some questions on here, and one person is still a little unclear about why we are out of school. So I think I maybe did not say that at the beginning, and I need to correct. The governor has recommended that we are no longer doing face-to-face school for the remainder of the year. So that is why we are having to come up with these backup plans for every grade, pre-K all the way through 12. So our big, of course, is the graduation. So we've been really focused on getting that taken care of the past couple of days.
So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Smith, thank you so much for your thoughts and process. I know we've got a lot of stuff still to go through, trying to figure out what is going to work for us, but we'll figure it out in the very near future.
Yep.
Thank you for the opportunity, and kiddos, hang in there. I know everybody's working hard. Appreciate my teachers. I know the hard work that everyone is putting in very uncertain times, and it's truly been a team effort. Our communication's been great, and we've all worked really hard to make the rest of the school year as best it can be.
All right, we'll step out for a break. We're back in a minute here on Mics are hot. And welcome back here to Sit Down with the Superintendent. James Collier, Tracy Moracey, Superintendent for Greenup County Schools. A very information-packed episode here, and we knew this was coming after the directive from Governor Beshear on Monday, saying that throughout the entire state of Kentucky, we are not going back to school because of the face-to-face interactions. It's just not safe, and we're not to that point to where we can start releasing the public into mass gatherings. So please understand, this is not something that was a Greenup County decision. This was a state decision, and you're seeing this throughout the entire nation, to where there are very strict guidelines to where once these, I know with our state, they're looking at a May 1st deadline, or kind of, I don't want to say a deadline, but a hot date that they're wanting to try to start reopening things. But there's very specific bullet points that has to be met for those things to happen. And the very first part on that, you're not going to start doing any mass gatherings, so therefore that took away from school.
Right, it did. And it really took us to a whole new level, even how to get kids their items. We've had to put into place how we will do things such as orientation. We're looking at that to have kids be able to schedule differently. There's going to be a lot of work going on over the summer, just putting things into place. And honestly, the governor has he has asked us to not do anything in person all summer long. And I know in our past shows, I've discussed even the idea of having a senior week and wanting to make a big deal out of them just having a delayed graduation, because I really felt bad about even having to delay it, because you do have kids who are going off to the military, and you don't want them to miss their special event as well. So was thinking, do a delay and do a senior week. But after my conversation with all the superintendents and the governor on Monday, it was pretty obvious that we had no opportunity to do an in-person graduation. So, which puts us to prom. I know everybody wants to know about prom. And guys, I am not that skilled to run you a virtual prom. That is not something I feel comfortable trying to monitor, and we'll leave it at that. But if you guys want to take your pictures in the backyard and all the pretty photos that you would be doing of yourself, and we can look at sending them in, and maybe we can put them a hodgepodge together and put something out on social media of all the work that you did, because I know some of you may have already purchased your dresses and made some plans and stuff. So whatever unique ideas, I saw, how they've been doing the softball throw or the baseball throw off the screen to somebody else catch it. I saw one last week, and it was prom dresses. And people were throwing their prom dresses to the next person, and that person was putting on theirs, and it was pretty cute. So we can do something creative that way, but as far as actually having a face-to-face prom, I am so sorry, but there's sometimes the answer just has to be no, and that's not fun, but this one has to be no.
I know Miss Brown, the science teacher here at Green County High School, she's also the kind of the person that's over prom, and she put out some information last night on social media. We understand some kids have already paid for their tickets. Those will be refunded.
Yes.
She is working through this process, so please be patient with her. Again, we got a lot of information dumped on us on Monday, guys. So the processes are being put in place. It just takes a little bit of time to get everything the way it needs to be, because we want to make certain that, certainly if you've paid for your prom tickets already, we want to make certain that we get you refunded the money that's coming to you. But at the same time, we have to make certain that only the people that paid for prom tickets are the ones getting those refunds, so somebody doesn't end up getting shorted in the end.
Right, exactly. We can't go in the hole and just give out money to everybody who had intentions of going to prom. So, whenever people pay for those types of items, there are receipts and processes in place to show that you paid. So, with that said, they'll use that same process to make sure you get refunded.
We kind of knew this news was coming on the back end of when the school cancellation was made, but spring sports officially canceled. That's the first time the KHSAA Commissioner Julian Tackett has used that word. We've been using the word of postponement. Now we're officially canceled. That also includes the Sweet 16 boys and girls. That is a finished event now. It will not be rescheduled or made up. And when we think of the situation we're in, we've got seniors that have lost their senior years, and we see a lot of schools around the area that are turning the lights on at 8:20 every night. And again, I've kind of discussed this. 2020 is 8 o'clock in military time.
Right.
So that's the reason they turn the lights on at 8:20, leaving the lights on for 20 minutes. And if you happen to be out and about and you see those lights on, pay attention, because it's to reflect and honor those seniors that did not get that opportunity to play that senior year that they had worked so hard for.
And us as a school district, we're kind of trying to honor some of those situations as well. We have Matt Gilbert, our athletic director, is working on getting some pictures, even if it happens to be a previous year in your uniform. So we ask if you haven't gotten back with him and you are a senior for a spring sport, make sure you return his call or his email. We're trying to put a few things together for you guys to honor you both on social media and with some banners. So we have a few things up our sleeve we want to do with that information. So if you get contact from the student council, the high school student council is working on this project. Matt Gilbert is working on it, and Scarlett Shoemaker. So if that's the case, we really, if you hear from them, get back with them, because they really do need your picture.
And if you are a senior athlete and you have not been contacted, contact your coach, because they are the one that is kind of leading this charge to get this information back over to student council so that we can put this together. And we don't want anybody left out.
That is the last
this
thing.
is not baseball driven. There's a lot of spring sports that goes on, and we want everybody that plays in a spring sports that's recognized by the KHSAA to be recognized.
I think our largest group that has seniors is tennis. So we have a large group of tennis students, and we have some athletes for track and field that are seniors. Those are two really large senior groups that we have. So we want to make sure we're getting them honored. You know, another thing, I just had somebody send me a message wanting to know about food. Again, they're wanting to know about, will free lunch continue after school is out? Yes, we will continue that process. We do not know how that process will look. It could look a little different. It depends on what the government allows us to do, but we have always had a summer lunch program. And so we will continue that summer lunch program. So again, that should help some of you that are still working with being furloughed. Every day I hear of another person, and it's the type of jobs that you would think would never not be in demand. You know, I think I heard law enforcement, and that is amazing to me that that has happened. So, you know, we really want to make sure we're feeding our people.
Josh Sturgill just chimed in. He said 9 tennis seniors.
How many?
9.
9 seniors, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. Here's a very interesting question coming in. Will there be a virtual meeting for students that are going to be able to meet their teachers in the upcoming school year? I know, especially those students coming out of the middle schools into the high school,
Yes,
that is a
grade.
big jump for them. Will they have that opportunity?
I do believe they're working on putting some virtual concepts together, and that will be more after school is getting. We're going to focus on getting this graduation planned first.
Yeah, let's get to the
because
finish line first.
That has to be done. But we are not forgetting about our 8th graders. Both of the middle schools have contacted and they're working with each other. And so what one middle school does, the other middle school will do, is both for what they're doing for their 8th grade and what they're doing for the incoming 5th grade. Because that's another group of kids we have to think about that are moving up to the middle school. And I mean, I have a daughter who's a 6th grader, and she obviously was very nervous about going to middle school. So we were able to get her transitioned the regular way. It'll be a little bit of a challenge for our 5th graders this year. So we want to make sure we're doing that right. And a lot of it will be some virtual tours of the buildings that we'll work on, some introductions of the teachers, and maybe some Google Meets. But they'll iron it out and get all that information out to you.
Well, as we get toward the end of the show, we've got some very important news that we want to share, some accolades with some of our students that were honored earlier this week. Let's start first with Gracie Terry, that was named, I want to get this right, the Governor's School for the Arts.
Yes.
And it's in writing. And
in writing.
This is a very big thing. I know when Mrs. LeMaster communicated this out, she said, let's scream this from the rooftops. But Gracie, a great young lady, and an excellent award for her to get to achieve.
And it's a highly competitive award. You go through different stages to get to this award. So you have to go through a process, and they eliminate people as they go with the award. So she did get it in poetry, I do believe, in writing. So congratulations to her. And if you look at the picture up here that she's holding, that is actually from where she won the state online virtual science fair competition in engineering with her brother Matthew Diamond. So she has a few talents, so it'll be interesting to see what she has a science and engineering passion, and then she's a great writer, so we just don't know. She might solve this COVID-19 problem for all of us before it's over with. Let's hope so, at least.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Our next grouping of students, these 4 have been elected to the Kentucky Governor's Scholars Program. So we have Emma Boggs, Aaliyah Grayson, Tate Duncan, and Gage Potter, and what a unique honor for them as well.
And fantastic kids, too. I think a few of those might have been on a Google Meet with me yesterday. I won't name your names. But it was so funny because a lot of these guys will come up to me with ideas and different projects, and it's been nice to get to know them as juniors, you know, and know that they'll be here next year for the transition whenever we start back up. But some of the things that they've come up with that they want to do, I just said, yeah, do it, because I just have faith in these kids. They will pull it off and make it happen. So great kids.
And when we see stuff like this, and we see our students excelling like they're doing, how big of an honor is it, not just for the kids, but as the district as a whole, to be able to send 4 kids and then see Gracie getting to go to the Governor's School for the Arts in such a very highly competitive field?
It's very highly competitive, and I think it goes back to the foundation they've been provided all along, both at their home, but also through the school system throughout the years. We've really had that concept of a growth mindset and to keep trying to improve, always want to do your very best, and a big focus on ACT this past year, getting those scores. And Mr. Smith still hasn't stopped smiling about that score.
We can't wait till we get to
I know,
release
we
these.
can't go public with it just yet, and I tell you, I want to get a parade just for that. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about it myself. So very proud of these guys, and those four, they're part of that big score right there. So
Okay,
congratulations.
real quickly, let's look at some questions coming in. Destiny Spradlin checking, how will the seniors get their cords and medals? That's a very interesting thing to talk about, but I think that's kind of, we're still in the incubation period of this whole process.
Right.
We will roll that out. Probably start asking those type of questions come closer to May 1st.
And we have discussed a little bit of that, and Mr. Smith, if you're okay with me saying, I do believe is that going to try to be around the May 1st concept?
Yeah. Caps and gowns and those type of things will all be passed out at the same time, and we'll schedule a date for that. It'll be somewhere the first or second week of May.
Okay. Yes, and also a gift is coming to all of our seniors from the Board of Education. Our 5 board members they would like to send something to the seniors, so we have ordered yard cards for all the seniors. And so whenever you come to get your cap and gown and your cords, then you will also get a yard card to put up in your yard, or if maybe you live a little far out, if you want to put it at the end of your road, however you want to display that, but you will have a congratulatory honor for you to put out. So.
Lastly, as we get ready to wrap things up, if you have questions that you want us to consider for the future show, send them to the email that you see there, gcps.faq@greenham.kyschools.us. Last thing, Tracy, I know this is big. We're not building off of what Governor Beshear does. He does his at the beginning. We're going to hit ours at the end. But if you have not filled out your 2020 census, first off, please, it is a legal requirement that you need to do this, but funding for our state, for our programs, all comes off of what happens from this census.
Here's the bottom line. If it looks like that Greenup County doesn't have a very large population, then we don't get as much money. So we need you, I'm not saying exaggerate how many people are in your house, please be honest, but we really need you to go online and fill that out. I know they also mailed some cards if you need to do paper pencil. I think they've made that a possibility as well. But please go ahead and get that taken care of, because that really does allow us to do things like some of the one-to-one computers, being able to loan out the Chromebooks, some of the stuff with the food, the free food that we're able to give away. All of that is something crucial, because I always say the concept that we need a lot of Maslow in our lives. And if nobody's probably really familiar who that is, but that's a person who studies the concept that we have to feed and clothe and emotionally support our students before we can ever get to that concept of teaching them. And a lot of funding comes from based on the population and how we're doing economically in this area. And I think we all can say Eastern Kentucky could benefit from a few government dollars to support some growing needs we have.
And again, as we mentioned, it is a legal requirement. You are required by the federal government to fill this out. Understand this, you can do this online and you can have this finished up in about 5 minutes. You will receive these in the mail. If you do not respond to your mail copy or your online version, that's when people will start knocking on your door wanting to come to your house. So if you don't want people knocking on your door, just simply finish this up. My2020census.gov. Again, you can knock this out in 5 minutes or less. It's very simple to go through. There's not anything that is demanding to fill this out. And again, it's so very critical, not only for our state as a whole, but also for Greenup County for that federal funding that we can get.
Can I add one more quick thing here? I've gotten a lot of messages about a possibility of a parade. We did discuss that. It will have to be very organized, social distanced. It will require us to work with the Department of Highways, so we don't want to go too deep into details about that, but it is on the table. It was discussed at length, and we're working at making it big enough that it would include the entire county. So just know that that's why it's going to take longer. It won't be the traditional route that we usually do for homecoming, because we really do want that social distancing to happen. But just so you know, that is something we're looking at. And then those of you asking about 5th grade and 8th grade, your high school or your middle school principals have decided they have some things in the works. And once they get that, they will get that out to you.
And maybe we could try to work in our middle school principals
Have
to
them
a
come
future
in.
show. Maybe we'll have
Yeah.
them come in and kind of like
Love
we
it.
had with Mr. Smith, and we can get some more details from there.
Sounds
So
great.
guys, again, if you have questions that are out there that we're not getting to, mostly the reason is that we simply cannot answer those at this time. So if you're not getting a question answered, again, it's not that we're ignoring the questions or overlooking it. It's just there is not an answer to give at this time. So please email those in. We'll keep those for future considerations. And again, anything that we can pass along to you, we'll get that out as quickly as we possibly can. Tracy, that'll wrap it up for this week. Enjoy your weekend. It's going to be rain-filled, I believe. I think rain starts tomorrow, and I think it's not going to stop raining until about June.
That's not.
That's
okay.
not good, right?
Yeah.
So either way. But again, we'll be back with you next Wednesday at noon. Again, the email address, if you have questions for the show, there at the bottom of your screen, gcps.faq@greenup.kyschools.us. A big thanks to Jason Smith for coming in and sharing his wealth of knowledge for what we may be doing for graduation. And a great pleasure always, Tracy, for joining you here on the show.
Yep, we're
For everybody
thankful
here
you.
at Greenup County High School, I'm James Carr. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody.
Welcome to Sit Down with the Superintendent, presented by GCHS TV. Join us as we welcome Greenup County Superintendent Tracy Moracey to our roundtable discussion hosted by GCHS students.